Good evening. Welcome to Disaffected. This is the show where we talk about politics, culture, and relationships through a psychological lens. It's April 27th, 2025. A big part of the purpose of this show is to introduce you to cluster B narcissistic style abuse behaviors and their tactics. And an important part of doing that is helping people recognize the specific tactics and the specific techniques used by individuals like this to achieve their goals. This section of the show is one where I suggest you get out pencil and paper or whatever it is that you like to take notes with, because we're going to go through it in some detail. And it's in two parts. Part one is where I introduce you to the person that I'm using as an example of these behaviors, Karlyn Borysenko. This is necessary context for you to understand the second part. In part two, I'm going to illustrate in steps how compulsively dishonest and narcissistic people successfully tell what I call good lies. They do this by mixing in just enough truth to fool the unwary. My goal is for you to see the hand movements that happen behind the curtain and outside the frame so that you can better recognize when a manipulative person is trying to get one over on you. In a way, this presentation is a long time coming, but in another way, I'm not pleased to be doing it. Direct personality conflicts between named individuals are not my bag on this show. It's not something I like to dig in and write about the way some people do. Not only is there a danger of hitching your wagon to, quote, one side when you don't want to do that, but participation in that dynamic often fuels the bad behavior of the people involved. Also, it's boring. It's just boring to go on about one specific person or one specific personality conflict when it's really only interesting to the parties themselves. But it's time. It's past time. So who is Karlyn Borysenko? In brief, she's a YouTuber and a cultural commentator. She has a degree in psychology, and she claims to have worked in the past as an organizational psychologist. Karlyn is nominally both anti-communist and anti-woke, but as you'll see, in my view, she is first and foremost a severely personality disordered abuser who goes farther in targeted harassment than most people do. Friends of mine, as well as people that I just have friendly associations with, have been targeted by Borysenko for years. She's accused them of crimes. She's accused them of covering up crimes. She's accused them of running financial scams and much more. I've metaphorically held some of them by the hand while they were in frustrated tears on the phone. But because any additional attention to her, I have feared, would direct more of her wrath onto my friends and people who don't deserve it, I have largely stayed out of the online Karlyn wars. I don't ever recall having communicated with her directly. It's possible that I did once or twice a few years ago. I don't remember doing it. You might find it in my online past. And despite the claims that she's made, we're going to get into all this detail. You're going to see everything tonight. Despite her claims, I've never presented an episode of Disaffected about her. I've never written an essay about her. Still, she has presented at least 2, it might be up to 3 now, live streams on her show that focused on me and my alleged abuse of her. Remember, I've never spoken to her that I can remember. Her fury with me appears to be owed to a couple of factors. One, I'm friends with Carrie Smith, who is the host of a show called Deprogrammed, and with Mike Harlow, who also has a YouTube show. These are 2 of the people that Borysenko despises the most. I've offered both of them my friendship and my support when Borysenko has been heavily targeting them, and she dislikes that, of course. And I can see through Karlyn Borysenko. And she knows that I can see who she is and what she is. And in my view, I need to stop saying in my view, this is all opinion, of course, but she's one of the most severe cases of a thoroughgoing cluster B personality disorder who I have ever personally encountered. She displays traits from borderline, narcissistic, histrionic, and antisocial personality disorders. So why am I presenting about her right now? For a couple of reasons. While it does seem that her star online is dimming and more people are noticing how manipulative and dangerous she is still able to reel in the unsuspecting. And despite the fact that she actually abuses her own fans and supporters, she screams at them on camera. She still has a rotating fan club of people who join up and subscribe to her channel and subject themselves to her abuse. I don't think they know that that's going to happen when they first meet her online. And also, she managed to get herself named as the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire's gubernatorial candidate in 2022. She ran for governor of New Hampshire. And this demonstrates that she's able to get herself into places where she fools people who ought to know better and where she can do some real damage. And she has set her sights on me again with accusations that I'm harassing her. Nothing she says about me actually matters to me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't make me feel fear or anxiety. There's nothing for me to be sad about. There's nothing she says about me or about any of her other targets that are known to me. None of it's true. My ego isn't wounded. It's that her recent behavior is a good opportunity to offer you in the audience. And a version of this is going to be coming out on Substack as well, with all the links and all the videos so that you'll be able to see this for yourself if you prefer to read through it. Her recent behavior is just a great opportunity to give you a lesson in how the best and most effective lies are created and how they're maintained. Think of this as a foundational lesson in cluster B modus operandi. My hope is that you'll get the lesson, and then you'll be able to see this dynamic more clearly in other places because it's all over the place, and that you'll be better able to stop yourself from getting deceived by people who operate as Borysenko operates. So who is Karlyn Borysenko? This is only going to be a sketch based on what I've observed. It's not an exhaustive biography. It's not a catalog of her every move. That's her bag, not mine. Borysenko is a YouTuber who has done some good political investigation and activism. She is intelligent. She's capable of good work. And some of those examples include a number of exposés that she's done on public school indoctrination in the Northeast, including in Vermont and Burlington, about how schools have been indoctrinating children into woke ideology and LGBTQ gender ideology. The problems she brings are not because she lacks intelligence, and they're not because she's unable to perform professional work. She's both smart enough and skilled enough to do that. She has done it. And you can look up some of her output and confirm that for yourself. It is her character that brings problems. If Karlyn Borysenko is new to you, or if you've only seen a few of the best pieces of her work, you may find this presentation surprising. Object. And you may want to defend her, assuming that I'm unjustly criticizing her. That's why I'm doing this tonight. Narcissists, and yes, I do believe that she is absolutely a diagnosable level narcissist. They rely on the outside world being able to see only shaded or partial context. They're like stage magicians. They use sleight of hand to direct your eyes away from what they're doing and toward the illusion that they want you to believe is reality. If you've only ever seen one or two of her good videos on a journalistic topic, you'd have no reason to suspect that she's anything other than what she presents herself to be. There is, however, much more to her, and it ranges from venal to sadistic. Borysenko, in my view, has crossed the line multiple times into legally actionable libel and slander. She's accused people who have done nothing to her of abusing her, of stalking her, of faking terminal illnesses for fun and profit, and much, much more. All the while, she contrives this persona on her YouTube channel of being a wounded and tormented little bird. It's simple narcissistic reversal. You just accuse other people of exactly what you are doing. First, a disclosure. You've heard me mention Carrie Smith and Mike Harlow. They are my friends. I suppose I've already disclosed that to you. We have met in person, and I've known them online and in phone calls for years. I do trust them. I do think they're good people. I am friendly disposed to them. Several years ago, Mike Harlow had a health scare. He was worried that he may have had cancer, and he was nervous waiting on test results. Fortunately, those test results were negative. In the meantime, though, at that time, Karlyn Borysenko sent a flurry of social media posts claiming falsely that Mike Harlow had claimed to be dying of cancer so that he could raise money for his medical treatment and run a con for donations. That was not true. Carrie Smith has also been targeted by Karlyn Borysenko. Multiple times is an understatement. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tweets, maybe even thousands, including probably, I'd have to actually go back and count, probably dozens of videos where she goes after Carrie Smith. If you don't know who Carrie Smith is, she is one of the most soft-spoken and genuinely kind people that I've met in recent years. Excuse me. She's a Christian, and she's a repentant former leftist and former woke adherent. Like me, she was in the cult, and now she uses her show, Deprogrammed with Carrie Smith, to help people see outside of the toxic social justice woke left. Karlyn Borysenko has accused Carrie Smith of harassing Borysenko many, many times. She accuses Carrie of making shows about her constantly, of organizing social cliques against Karlyn Borysenko, but in truth, that's what Karlyn Borysenko has been doing to Carrie Smith all along. Karlyn is the bully who waits until nobody's looking, then she sticks her foot out and trips the girl in the hallway next to her, and then when the teacher turns around, Karlyn herself falls down on the ground and pretends that that girl tripped her. That's how she does it. There have been numerous other people that Karlyn Borysenko has treated this way, and they have some serious stories about the false accusations that she has leveled against them. I'm not going to repeat them here, but this information is readily available online for anyone who wants to look. I'm going to tell you about my experience with Karlyn Borysenko. My friend and business partner, Kevin Hurley, the other half of this show, we launched this show, Disaffected, in January of 2021. And the show has a thesis that the cluster B, the narcissistic and emotionally manipulative psychology that makes abusive parents and spouses act the way they do to their family members, is the same psychology that took over the left and that has become mainstream as part of our culture. I grew up, as most of you know, under a mother with borderline and narcissistic personality disorders. And I've observed that the left that I used to be a part of, and that is now mainstream culture in the West, it's not just America, it's the entire Anglophone West, not just the Anglophone West, it's the entire industrialized West, that it runs on the same rotten psychology that made my childhood hell. The first episode of the show was put out in January 2021, and it was called Mommy Issues. If you have not listened to that very first audio episode, go back and listen to it. I think you'll enjoy it. The show has evolved since then, but it lays out the thesis of this show using enough of my personal experience that I think it makes sense to you why we take this approach. I told an abbreviated version of my childhood, and I laid out the thesis, which is domestic abuse has gone public and feral. 3 months later, in April of 2021, I did a 2-part episode, about 3 hours in total, called Over the Borderline, Parts 1 and 2. Those are also very good foundational episodes. If you haven't watched them, if you joined us on the show maybe a couple years ago and haven't gone into the back catalog, those are the episodes where I told the details of my childhood fully as a way of explaining the cluster B behaviors that animate people like my mother and people that you know in your life. My intention here is to help the audience recognize that, yes, you too have seen this behavior. You're not just hearing Josh Slocum's movie of the week true crime story. This is present in your life too. It's been present in your life in some way, even if it's not your family. These two episodes were a little bit difficult to do because they were the first time that I'd ever told the unvarnished truth in public on camera in great detail. But they were worth doing because viewer feedback told me that many people who watched them, I mean, they said things like, here's a quote, "This was my childhood too, but I didn't know anyone else had gone through it, and I didn't know there was a name for it. And now you do know. That name is cluster B. It's narcissism." Sometime, I don't remember exactly when, sometime in 2021, I think, I learned who Karlyn Borysenko was for the first time. I don't recall how I learned who she was. And to the best of my recollection, I have never communicated with her directly. I don't think we've ever spoken to each other, nor have we tweeted at each other. She's tweeted a lot of things to me, of course, but we haven't actually engaged in any real exchange. And in the 4 years that we've been putting out Disaffected, I've never mentioned her on the show. No, I haven't even, not even by implication, not even obliquely, not even by subtle reference. I simply haven't. If I did, I would say so. But to my bewilderment about those two episodes over the borderline from April of 2021, Karlyn Borysenko believed that she, rather than my mother, was the topic of those episodes. In December of 2022, that's 8 months. God, no, it's even longer. She did a 3-hour live stream on her show. We've got a picture of it here. Nitwits number 11, Unraveling Why These People Are Famous. It's got my picture on there, and it says, Josh Slocum attempts to analyze me as a narcissist. And during this, she claimed that my episodes over the borderline, where I told the detailed story of my childhood, a little bit of autobiography, she claimed those episodes were about her. And as you see, she did the very thing that she falsely accused me of doing. She made a show about me and put me in the thumbnail. This whole thing started with a bizarre claim that the thumbnail image that Kevin and I used on the episodes over the borderline contained a picture of Karlyn Borysenko. Take a look at your screen here. I think we have we'll have a bigger one coming up in a second. But take a look at the top image, the one on the right there that's just over the timestamp. It's a cartoon image of a woman in cat glasses with a half-shaved head. That's who Karlyn Borysenko said was supposed to be her. Remember, I had only barely learned who she was. She was in no way, shape, or form on my mind or a topic of this show, these episodes. In reality, this thumbnail image, it's just a cartoon-like depiction of a young woman who looks, quote-unquote, woke, that Kevin sourced from his collection. He's a professional media producer. He's got graphics and all the stuff at his disposal. And at the time, I don't believe that Kevin knew who Karlyn Borysenko was. If I'm wrong, he'll tell me in my ear. But I didn't even think he really knew who she was. He certainly wasn't thinking of her when he chose that image. Now, here I'm going to show you two pictures. First one is a picture of Karlyn Borysenko. Another one. Okay, take a look at that. Now I'm going to show you again a larger image of the promo, the thumbnail for our Over the Borderline episode. And as you see, Karlyn believes that cartoon girl in the lower right of your screen was supposed to be her because there are some superficial similarities, I suppose. Obviously the woman on the left is a version of cartoon version of actress Faye Dunaway playing actress Joan Crawford in the child abuse themed autobiographical film Mommy Dearest. And the cartoon image on the right is just a young woman with a generic image that's meant to represent the narcissistic type of young, modern female wokey who uses the same tactics in 2025 that Joan Crawford did in the mid-20th century when she was raising up her children with beatings. If this was not an image of Karlyn Borysenko, it was not a reference to her. It wasn't supposed to evoke her in anyone's mind. If it had been, I would have said so then. And I would say so now again. Any of you who have read my writing or watched my show know that I say what I mean. I'm not coy. and I'm not afraid of naming people specifically. It just simply isn't true. It was a surprise to learn that Karlyn Borysenko launched a live stream shortly, well, not shortly, actually, longer, after I ran those 2 episodes in April of 2021, in which she accused me of using this image of her and of talking about her. And at first, I actually didn't understand what she was saying. I thought I had walked into the middle of a plot or a book that I hadn't read the beginning for. Because those episodes are quite obviously about my mother. I mean, you can hear me saying that I'm talking about my mother. Somehow, though, she believed, or she alleged to believe, Karlyn did, that I was talking about her. Here is a clip from the live stream that she did about me. Remember, we've never spoken to each other. I've never done a show featuring her. I've never even said her name on the show. Here's a clip from her live stream claiming that my Over the Borderline episodes were about her. We're going to use another not funny film that's very funny and also very illustrative. We're going to talk about Carrie. See you next time.
All right. Well, that was the first one, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I really thought there were going to be more like remarks directed towards me again, just because I am actually in the fucking thumbnail. He can deny it all he wants, but I think we all know because we've been following the saga for a while. Now, here's what I want to ask you guys. I would like to watch a little bit more Josh Slocum. I would. I am ambivalent about whether or not we continue into, because look at that. Come on, that's fucking me. You're gonna tell me that's not me? That's me. Especially when you look at it in conjunction with the fact that he talked to Carrie about her abusive mother, and Carrie wrote an essay about me being her abusive mother at around exactly the same time period. That's absolutely me. I'm sorry.
Okay. We're going to get to everything she just claimed there. Stay with me. This is long, I know, but it's worth it. So how did Karlyn Borysenko come to believe that I was talking about her? Well, in addition to the simple fact that, I mean, for a narcissist, everything is about them, I suspect it's because I'm friends with Carrie Smith, someone that she despises and torments. And because Karlyn Borysenko is so obsessively self-focused, her anger and zeal causes her to make elementary mistakes. Here's what I mean. In December of 2021, Carrie Smith wrote an essay about her abusive cluster B mother, Carrie's own mother. And she also, in that essay, documented some of the harassment that Karlyn Borysenko had leveled against Carrie and against our mutual friend, Mike Harlow. Like me, Carrie sees the connection between the wicked behavior of our mothers to their children and the abusive behavior of the left in the mainstream culture to anyone who's not on the left. So Carrie Smith wrote an essay in December of 2021 that's a full 8 months after I put out the episodes Over the Borderline. 8 months after. So we're up to December 2021. And I'm going to keep trying to repeat these dates. I know it's a little bit tedious, but it's hard to keep them firmly in order. So I'm trying to help you track with me. Now, let's jump forward in time from December of 2021, a full year, to December of 2022. That's the time when Karlyn Borysenko put out her 3-hour live stream. And in that episode, she claimed that it was obvious that I was talking about her and that she was in the thumbnail. And part of the reason why she did this is because she didn't notice the dates correctly on YouTube videos. If you don't know this, YouTube has an extremely annoying habit of using relative dates, not absolute dates, like all of the goddamn media now. Have you opened up, even the New York Times, there is nobody who puts on Wednesday, March 11th, 2024, Secretary of State, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. No, none of them do it. They all say on Wednesday. So the only way for you to know what Wednesday in history they're talking about is to scroll back up to the top of the article, look at the date stamp on there. But then when that article is put on another webpage and doesn't have the original date stamp, you have no idea which Wednesday it is. So in the future, when you go back and read any news articles, this started about 10 years ago, it's all relative dates. Nobody's ever going to know when anything happened. YouTube does it constantly. Thank you for indulging me. I hate that habit so much. What they do is, if you look at a YouTube video, the first thing you see is it'll say 1 year ago or 2 years ago. Instead of using an absolute date like January 6, 2021. This is misleading because YouTube also rounds its relative dates to the year. So when you see a video that YouTube labels as 1 year ago, that video may actually be 1 year and 11 months in the past. It may be in a different calendar year than you think it is from this 1 year ago thing. So again, trying to keep you all with me here. I had Carrie Smith as a guest on my show in March of 2021. Carrie wrote her article featuring Karlyn 7, 8, 9 months later in December of 2021. So Carrie was on my show in March of 2021, then wrote her essay 9 months later in December of 2021. Fully 1 year after that, December of 2022, Karlyn Borysenko ran her 3-hour live stream claiming that my Over the Borderline episodes were obviously about her because they came out at the same time that Carrie was writing her article about Karlyn. No, they didn't. Those events were 9 months apart in calendar time. She also claimed that the fact that Carrie and Josh are, quote, best friends was supporting evidence that this show was really all about her. Carrie and I are friends, but we're not best friends, whatever that may mean. Carrie, do you want to exchange friendship slap bracelets? Now, let's fast forward to April of 2025, the month that we're in right now as I make this video. This part is about how to tell a good lie, or at least a good enough lie. Thank you for bearing with me through this. I know some of this is tedious. It's necessary, though. I have again become the subject of a series of videos by Karlyn Borysenko. This time, April 2025, she's claiming that I am abusing her about her recently deceased pet dog. And she's claiming that I have accused her of killing her dog. I have not claimed that she killed her dog, and I have not harassed her about her deceased dog. But there is a teeny, tiny bit of truth in what she's saying. It's just enough to hook the unwary, or those who don't have any context and who don't know her demonstrated character and her historical record. This is where I have to stop and ask you, as an audience, to deliberately adopt a frame of mind and not to fall into the first emotion that's going to come up for you when I go on here. You're going to have an emotion. I'm asking you to hold back, please. I want you to think, not feel. It's important. You can feel however you want, but this is important to think through. Yes, I did make a joke to a third party on Twitter that referenced Karlyn Borysenko's dead dog. Correct. And yes, I will show it to you. I did not make this joke to Karlyn Borysenko. I didn't send it to her on Twitter. Yes, I knew that she might see it because I responded to someone's Twitter thread, /X, whatever you want. And yes, knowing that, I chose to make the joke anyway. Affirmative. No, I didn't do it to get her. I wasn't talking to her. I did it because some of us on Twitter were blowing off steam about a woman who has bedeviled, abused, and lied about us for years and years. I have never enacted any aggression against Karlyn Borysenko. I have never spoken to her. This is the first time I've ever mentioned her on the show. It's the first time I'm ever going to publish an essay that has her name in it. But in fact, I have kept my mouth shut about her for 4 years, despite extreme provocation. I've had enough. Here's what happened. Recently, Karlyn Borysenko's dog died. That is, of course, sad. As a pet lover, I've spilled many tears burying many cats over the years. I know what grief for a well-loved animal feels like. And it's because I know that and I've experienced it, and because most other people know what that feels like, that Karlyn Borysenko's recent live streams about her dead dog rubbed me the wrong way. To be blunt, I believe she used her dead dog to evoke sympathy and cash payments on her YouTube channel to an extreme and vulgar degree. To be even more blunt, I don't believe her claim that she's in grief. I simply don't believe it. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm telling you my honest view. I don't believe she's grieving. I think she's lying. The only thing she cared about with regard to that dog's death was the attention, sympathy, and cash that her contrived mourning could bring her on her live stream. And as someone who has actually mourned deeply beloved pets, I found it offensive. You may or may not be convinced that I had an ethical right to make that joke. You may think I didn't. You may or may not think it went over the line. Taste is subjective. But it was not born of cruelty. It was not an act of cruelty directed at her, nor was it a sin of epic proportions. It simply wasn't. Even if you don't like it, even if you think it's in really bad taste, it's simply not that big a deal. This was not an assault on someone. Get some perspective. Yes, I will be showing you the joke in all the detail below so that you can make your own judgment. As an example of her duplicitous behavior, Karlyn Borysenko has been accusing people of lying about how much beer, alcoholic beer, that she's fed her dog over the years. She's been in high dudgeon on her channel recently about the allegedly cruel lies from people who say that she was irresponsible to have given her now deceased dog so much beer to drink over the years. Why, she's only ever let that dog lick her beer glass clean. That's what she says. And everybody's lying to make her look bad. But then in the very same video where she says that, she says something entirely different.
Honey also liked beer. She would always try to drink beer. If I had beer, if Victor had beer, we have so many pictures of Honey drinking beer. It's a wonder no one came to take the dogs away with all the pictures that I used to post of Honey drinking beer.
Okay, now we're going to show you a sample of the way that Karlyn Borysenko went on at great length during her show about her deceased dog. I watched more of this than I'm going to share with you. You can watch it for yourself if you want. And I did not see a single genuine tear when I watched this. What I saw was an actress affecting to be heartbroken for the ratings and the cash. In this clip, Karlyn relates a tarot card reading that she gave herself about the death of her dog. Notice the name. I want you to look at the title card you see coming up. Notice the name she gave herself. And I also want you to notice at the end of the clip, the last question that she asks.
It was one of those things where it was like, if I hadn't known that I was pulling the cards and I was shuffling the deck, if I hadn't known, I would have thought that the AI was like feeding me up the answers that I wanted just by itself without regard for like randomization of cards or whatever. But because I was shuffling the cards, I was pulling the cards, like, and I know what the cards say. I know how to read tarot cards. I don't need AI to do it, but it was like one of those things where like every spread was just coming up in the most perfect, beautiful way it could possibly come up. And what I mean by that is like I would ask questions like, was there anything going on that we didn't know about? Was there anything more we could have done? Did Honey have a good life? Did Honey love us?
Did Honey love us? You know, I talked about this with a friend when I was bouncing some ideas off putting this together. And that friend remarked that a more sort of normal and usual question. The question that occurred to me when my cats have died. It's okay if you think I'm maudlin and sappy and soft. It's okay. I am those things about my cats. But the first question that comes to mind is, for me, is did that cat know how much I loved her? Not for Karlyn. So I judge this to be a pity performance, not a genuine expression of grief, and I judge it to be exploitative. Now it's time to talk about the joke that I made about her dead dog. Recall that Karlyn Borysenko is claiming that I have accused her of killing her dog. I have not accused her of killing her dog. And I have not been harassing her. But what kind of person would stoop so low to kick a woman in the stomach when she's grieving like I did, right? I have a Twitter mutual named Frank McCormick. He goes by the Twitter handle @CB Heresy. That stands for Chalkboard Heresy. Frank is a former public school teacher who was drummed out of teaching by an angry woke mob. He, too, has been the target of a lot of narcissistic abuse, some of it from Karlyn Borysenko. And yes, it is true that he goes very hard on her, mocks her on Twitter a lot. Absolutely true. Recently, Frank made one of those now popular AI templates that you use to make an action figure, a toy action figure out of real people, and it comes along with accessories. Here's the one he created to depict Karlyn Borysenko. If you guys are just on audio, it's an action figure of her from the Cluster B Heroes series. Features 10 different lines about James Lindsay and Carrie Smith, and the accessories are a hamburger and a slice of pizza. Now, here is the joke that I made below that on Frank's thread. Can you put it up, please, Kevin? It says, needs dead dog. Yes, that was the joke. The joke, whether you approve of it or not, whether you find it in bad taste or not. The joke is this. She used her dead dog like an accessory. So I made a joke that it should be in her action figure pack as one of her accessories. The joke was not, quote, making fun of her because she's grieving. It wasn't anything like that. The joke is, and here I am explaining the goddamn joke, she's so narcissistic that she used her dead dog during an interminable maudlin live stream to glorify herself and roll around in pity, making money from the audience. That was the point of the joke. Now this joke is completely dead. I'm not sorry. I don't take it back. I haven't changed my mind. I haven't thought better of it, and I'd make the same joke again. But surely we can all agree that it's really poor form to make any joke about any person who's experiencing a death, right? We've got to take the high road. It's never acceptable. It's all just as bad, right? Well, can we agree to that? This past December 2024, my friend Adam Burgoyne died on his apartment floor from an aortic aneurysm at the age of 39. Many people knew him online, and many people, including me, genuinely grieved the loss of this wonderful man and friend. When Adam died, of course, there was an obituary that was published online. And because Adam was known to support Israel in the Israel-Hamas conflict, a huge number of Hamas supporters flooded the comments on his online obituary at the funeral home, saying things so obscene and profane that I won't repeat them here. His friends were working behind the scenes to get the funeral home to take the obituary down before Adam's parents could see what people were saying about their son. That's what had to happen because of this horrible behavior. Other people who knew Adam noticed this and were upset by it. Karlyn Borysenko made sure to comment publicly in support of the anti-Israel people who said obscene things about Adam in his death notice. She also did several dishonest streams at the time where she claimed that she was being pressured to mourn Adam. Nobody was talking to her. When in fact, she simply couldn't bear to see a genuine outpouring of love and support for someone because it would detract attention from her. And her job is to be Twitter's main character every single day. So I'm going to show you an image here. This is a tweet. A Thinks Aloud, a very nice woman, said, a bunch of Palestinian supporters found out that Adam supported Israel and spammed his obituary with comments saying they're glad he's dead and that they hope he's in hell. It was so bad the funeral home had to take his obituary down. Well, Karlyn Borysenko responded to that by saying, based, as in it was based, that they swarmed his comment with his obituary with obscenity. She thought it was fantastic. Pardon me for not giving one flying fuck about that woman's grief over her dead dog, which she doesn't even feel. Borysenko has also claimed in the past that Jews brought the Holocaust on themselves. If you are finding anything I'm saying hard to believe, don't just go online. I'm telling you the truth. Go to my Substack. When this show comes out sometime later tonight, you're going to get the written version of this with links to everything. You can see that everything I'm telling you actually occurred. At the same time that she said that Jews brought the Holocaust on themselves as a form of karmic justice for their bad behavior in former lives, she opined that Adolf Hitler, by contrast, went to heaven. Her remarks were so shocking that Newsweek did a feature article on her tweets. She's also manipulative and directly abusive to her own audience and financial supporters. She screams at them and accuses them of failing her, of being stupid, of being retarded. Here's just one short example. You can find many more of these. She harangues her supporters and demands money from them on a live stream and says if they don't pay up, she's going to cut the live stream off.
I'm giving you 4 minutes to come up with the correct answer. If you want this stream to continue, if no one comes up with the correct answer in the next 4 minutes, someone owes me a $50 super chat. You can do it. You can do it in, people can contribute $5, $10 super chats. You can contribute $10, $5 super chats. But if you assholes are truly going to make me explain this again, when I have explained this 8,000 fucking times in the last 2 years, and now it seems like no one's learned anything because no one is explaining what I have explicitly explained 10,000 times in the last 3 fucking years, I'm going to be fucking pissed. So you have 4 minutes to explain this, and then if you want this stream to continue, there's going to be a $50 fucking charge.
Yeah. Hey, disaffectants, if I call you retards and if I go full my mother on you, will you pay more? Will you go to disaffected.com and click on support us, or will you go to Subscribestar or Substack? Do you see I'm working a promo in here? If I scream at you and call you a shithead, will you give us more money? You know, I worked in fundraising in the nonprofit world for years. Had I known this, I would have been writing some nasty ass fucking letters. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the graphic support. There are numerous additional examples of Karlyn Borysenko being deceitful and vicious. What I've shown you is really just a sample. I think she's one of the most severely personality disordered people that I have ever encountered online. She is the walking definition of personality disorder, otherwise unspecified in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. She has a surfeit of traits from all 4 of the cluster B disorders: borderline, histrionic, narcissistic, antisocial. And she will, of course, as she has in the past, she will accuse me of unethically diagnosing her. Now, I am no more diagnosing her by talking about this than I am practicing meteorology when I look up at the sky and say that rain seems likely or that rain happens to be falling. She knows that a layman like me doesn't have the actual medical legal power to make an official medical diagnosis. She knows this. None of my opinions can have any effect on her medical chart or the putative future course of her treatment, which is the actual concern when people say that someone is diagnosing out of their lane, an actual medical professional. I mean, and future course of treatment, like there's a snowball's chance in hell that this woman would ever seek treatment that would require her to believe that she was in any way imperfect, let alone wicked. But why bother going on so long about some internet rando like Karlyn Borysenko? Some of you may be asking yourself that. It's not worth it. Just ignore her, right? It's just better to ignore her. Number one, I have been ignoring her for 4 years. But number two, this woman successfully fooled the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire into running her as their gubernatorial candidate in 2022. Here's a picture from her campaign. No, actually, that's a picture from her video that she did for Prager University, an outfit that I have a lot of time for and does a lot of good work. I'm imagining that they're now reconsidering their decision to have worked with her. People like Karlyn Borysenko are not only and merely internet randos who can be dealt with by just ignoring them. Narcissists of her caliber are often successful, at least for a time, at duping otherwise intelligent and accomplished people into getting into bed and doing projects with them. They only find out when it's too late. Some of you may well have been duped by her recent claims, for example, that I'm a singularly cruel man who kicked a grieving woman when she was down in mourning over her dead dog. This is how narcissists create lies with legs. There's a kernel of truth in most of their prevarications. They take this kernel and they polish it up like a rare gem until it glitters before your eyes. It has a hypnotic effect. Your tender emotions, your sympathy, those are immediately grabbed because you're a decent person who disapproves of what appears to be cruelty. That's how they get you. All the while, they are standing behind a curtain, twiddling dials and pulling levers as fast as they can to keep the smoke and light show going on the other side of the room. So look sharp. Welcome back. Disaffected is brought to you by BillTongUSA.com. BillTongUSA.com, which sells the very finest, thinly sliced, high-quality cured beef in the South African style, done with vinegar and dry spice curing. This stuff is absolutely delicious and is made by Anton Van Vuren and his family in Texas. They are immigrants to America, the legal kind, who came from South Africa. And there's a picture of biltong on your screen. Think of it like the most gourmet beef jerky you have ever had. I was eating the mess out of this last night. And by the way, cats like it too. Shredder especially. If you have a white cat, feed him some biltong. You can also get their spice mix on their website. You know what? As Anton, I'm sorry to do this in the middle of your commercial, but Shredder is literally putting his claws under the door to try to get in here because I'm talking about the biltong. Remember to use promo code JOSH to let Anton know that you heard about the biltong on our show and to get yourself a 10% discount on your order. Also, don't forget to follow us on X/Twitter. I'm back on there stirring up shit and damning my soul. So you'll want to get in on all that good action. We are at Disaffected Pod. Now, let's talk about judges and immigrants. This is fun. I'll let Tom Homan start it off.
On the books that make it a criminal offense to shield or harbor illegal immigrants, like the sanctuary states that you leaders have been doing. Do you think they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and possibly put in prison?
Absolutely. And hold tight on that one. Because it's coming. It's coming. I've been clearing that since day one.
Well, it came. Have you seen the news? 2, count them, 2 judges were arrested by federal officials this week for aiding, abetting, and harboring illegal aliens. If you hear that scratching, this time it's actually Mina. She is so upset that I'm talking and she can't get into the studio. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at the first judge who was arrested, Judge Hannah Dugan. There she is. She's a Mascatarian. She's got COVID mask on Honest Abe and some sort of weird symbol in front of her her name placard. It looks like something like out of the original Star Trek, like a Vulcan Ponfar thing or something. I don't know what the hell that is. It's probably something satanic. Then, guess who else was arrested? Former magistrate judge from New Mexico. Oh, God, I didn't put his first name down. His last name is Cano, Cano. Well, guess what? He had a Venezuelan gang member allegedly living in his house. You see this picture here. The guys all the way on the left, they're having fun in their kitchen. I believe the allegation is that this is a Trendaragua Venezuelan gang member. Latino solidarity, okay, papi? So he had a Venezuelan illegal living in his house. Why did Hannah Dugan, the other judge, get arrested? She had a case before her where a Mexican, an illegal alien Mexican, was in her courtroom on battery charges that he had almost literally beat the blood out of his roommate. Well, she didn't like the fact that he was about to get arrested by immigration officials and deported. So she actually had the defendant, the illegal alien, allegedly, and his attorney come into her chambers, and she secreted them out the back door so that they could evade the ICE officials. The ICE officials had to chase him 2 blocks down to finally arrest him. That a judge did this. This is now new normal in America. And new normal in America also includes Democrat politicians being angry and upset that judges who broke the law, frankly, in my view, treasonously, they're angry that they got arrested. Here's Bernie Sanders' statement. I'll read some of it. Sanders' statement on Trump's arrest of Milwaukee judge. This morning, President Trump directed the FBI to arrest trial court judge Hannah Dugan in Milwaukee. She's being charged with obstructing law enforcement of federal crime. Now, let me do Bernie. Let's be clear. Trump's arrest of Judge Dugan in Milwaukee has nothing to do with immigration. It has everything to do with moving this country toward authoritarianism. Fuck you. I'm not reading the rest of this. This is fuck you, Bernie Sanders. Sit and spin, you son of a bitch. You are such a fraud. Do you know how much of a fraud this guy is? I used to have an office. We used to have a studio next door to where he had his Burlington office. Now, you know this motherfucker is rich as hell, right? He's got at least 2 homes. They're very expensive. He's made of money. He may not be as rich as all of them, but he's a millionaire too. He drives around Burlington in a 20-year-old scuffed up red Honda Fit to give the impression that he is a man of the people. He is a complete fraud. I know, because he used to park next to me. All right, so let's get into some mockery here. Oh my goodness. Guess what? The perimeter has been breached. The cat is now in the studio. I cannot be held responsible for anything that may happen in the rest of the show. Let's talk about Michelle Obama. She's in pain. Let's run this clip, Kevin. She's got a podcast. This woman has a podcast with her brother, Craig. Like, who the fuck is Craig? Let's listen to her talk about her pain. Oh my, this cat is going to climb on me. Come on. Roll it, Kevin.
We don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
If we knew, I think we would care. If we knew.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
Or, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, the men in our lives is, why wait to be asked?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but we're actually living life out loud,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're living life out loud right now, aren't we, Mina? Yes, we are. Okay, honey, you said hi to the people. Now you got to go. Can you believe this, bitch? We don't articulate our pain. You Black woman do nothing but shriek about your pain. You are not a demographic known for being shy and retiring. What? Pain? You've got an estate on Martha's Vineyard. Oh, did you hear how she talks down Barack, too? She's like, and the men in our lives, why don't they ask? And her fucking vocal fry. Go to hell, Michelle. I'm still on Michelle. Let me show you what I put up on Twitter, because when I saw the screen grab, this is what I thought. It's like, excuse me, ma'am, but do not get loud up in here with me, okay? Just because your house on fire do not constitute an emergency for me up in here, dispatch. Now, thank you. And we got more Michelle. Here's a picture of her at some event last week. Look at her. She's wearing, it looks like some sort of Mormon prairie pottery barn dress with no bra on, showing, can you call that cleat? Actual skinless chicken breast looks more attractive packaged in shrink wrap than that does. With all that money, that's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. All right. I went so hard for so long on trans on the show because it's the preeminent display of cluster B patterns. But I'm on it with Black people and Black Americans right now because it's just all over the place. So I decided, what would it be like? I decided to do a race swap. You know how... was it ITV that did a series in the UK about the Tudor court, and they had Anne Boleyn played by a Black woman? So I decided what would happen if we made Black Queen Elizabeth. So I got Grok, the AI on Twitter, to make me Black Queen Elizabeth. Can we put her up here? I'm not entirely pleased with the expression. I was trying to go for more smug and agitated, but it was hard to get that done. So anyway, I'm just going to do a little bit. I haven't finished the whole thing, but I started the speech at Tilbury before the Armada. And it goes like this. Hey, fam. Now, I am come up in here among you at this time, not for my disport or my twerking or whatever, but because for some dumbass reason, I done resolved to get dirty and fight all along with you and to snatch my weave off right here, even in the dirt. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Hold up a minute. Can somebody tell that Throckmorton hoe to fetch my wrath up over top of my farthingale? Thank you. She have time to shake a ass at Essex. She have time to bring a bitch some clothing. Anyway, as I was saying, that's the speech at Tilbury. All right, what do we got here? Ah, yes, Disney. All right, so, cat, kitty, stop. I am beset by cats today. Oh, yeah, Disney. So after Snow White bombed at the box office, Disney is pulling back on their live action remakes of their animated films and classics. And of course, Black women most affected. You know they were going to do a Black Rapunzel, right? Did you know that? Well, now you do. Oh, they don't call it Rapunzel. You can't call anything by stupid old names anymore. The movie was Tangled. Gen Z brand Tangled. But you have to ask yourself, how? Well, here, let's show it. Let's show the image. There we go. So it was an announcement. Disney puts Tangled live action on hold after Snow White backlash. Francesca Amawuda Rivers was reportedly cast as Rapunzel. Well, that definitely sounds German, doesn't it? And doesn't she look German and medieval? How is that going to work? How are you going to have Rapunzel? How's that going to see the story? Do you remember the story? There's a tower. There's a princess locked up in it, and she has to let down her hair so that the prince can come up and rescue her. How is that going to work with black hair? I mean, can you imagine it? Yo, Punzel! Come on, bitch, let down that weave. Now, last week, a viewer in the comments, thank you very much, I'm sorry I forgot your name, pointed out that YouTube's closed captioning actually censors what it considers naughty words. Yes, that's right. You're going to see that YouTube is actually ableist. They won't allow deaf people to read certain words, and they won't allow them to read my words when those words are naughty. So let me play you a screen grab from last week's show so that you can see the words that deaf people are not allowed to read. You better hope you're never in the cockpit of an Airbus when they're coming in on final approach for landing, because as soon as they do the flare and they're going to touch down, it starts screaming at you, retard, retard, retard. The Airbus isn't screaming about your son, Timmy. Sadly, though, Airbus, obviously, as a company, does not care about the emotional safety of its pilots. Can you imagine the harm caused in the flight deck from a person of flying experience who has to hear this from the Airbus automated computer on landing?
Retard, 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 10, retard, 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 10, retard, 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 10, retard.
Okay, that's going to take us out, but I have an announcement and a reminder for you. The first Saturday of every month, we have a hangout for our paid supporting members, our disaffectants. It happens in something we call the Sanity Lounge, and it happens the first Saturday of every month. So we've got one coming up. And if you would like to join us and hang out and talk about whatever the topic is that we come up with all the fascinating people, we would love to have you. Simply go to subscribestar.com/disaffected and sign up for a paid membership, or go over to substack.com/disaffected and sign up as a monthly supporter. If you don't want to be a monthly supporter, but you do like what you get out of the show, thank you very much. Please help us make it. Give us a one-off donation. Go to disaffected.com and click on support us. And